That sounds good.
All right, cool. Okay, so the proposition of debate is biological sex binary. I take the view that biological sex is not binary. And actually, to say that it's binary is either incoherent or, but that meaning that it affirms a contradiction. Actually,
Hmm.
unless you have some proprietary definition of binary that is not what not what anyone is talking about. Not, and by anyone, I just mean like the overwhelming view of individuals who use that term binary in like either computer science or in statistics or in mathematics. Or you have a proprietary definition of sex that is not what biologists are talking about. Those are the only two ways. Other than that, if you use binary in the way that statisticians, uh, in, individuals involved in logic are talking about, and if you use the word sex in the way that biologists are talking about, to say that the biological sex is binary is internally contradictory. And presumably, you have the view that um, sex is in fact binary.
Um, yeah, I'm not too like set on this whole sex being binary um concept of being binary. I did listen to your other debate or discussion with Riley, and I've heard your points
And
about
Rebel of Empires,
what's that?
Rebel of
No.
Empires.
Well,
Oh, okay.
I listened to part two of that one,
Hmm.
and I listened to your discussion with Riley, and
Okay.
if I understand your position correctly, uh, sex can't be binary, or it isn't binary because it has the potential of creating a male and female um, organism.
Specifically,
Is that
to be more precise,
is that fair?
no, not exactly. To be more precise, not that it is a potential, that it's possible. Um, the reason sex is not binary is because it is possible to have more than two possible and instantiable categories. So you can
Okay.
have male only, female only, and male and female. As long as male and female is possible, even if it hasn't occurred, by definition, sex wouldn't be binary.
Right. So we have to define when or like what would make someone be a male and female.
Yeah. So it depends on which. So by the anisogamous gametic entail definition, which I can source, the production of gametes define the sex. In other words, if you um, produce sperm,
Yes.
you you're a male. If you produce the smaller gamete, you are male. If you produce the larger gamete in an anisogamous species, you are female. You can have some like some weirdos like try to like put on additional qualifiers to that. It doesn't even matter. Like for example, you may have heard things like cringy definitions like organized around the production of the small gamete or organized around the production of the larger gamete. I mean that's fine. It's pretty silly.
Why
Um,
why would that be silly? Why are you
yeah,
saying
no.
that
So
those
the
are
reason,
silly ways
yeah,
to put
the
the term?
reason, yeah, no, it's the reason okay. So intrinsically, there's nothing silly about it. It's just like hilarious because it's a proprietary definition that not biologists actually don't use. Biologists do use the gametic entail. They don't use the organized around, but it doesn't matter. Like even if you want to try to like grasp for straws to try to use the organized around, it's actually totally fine unless you can show a contradiction between being organized around both.
Isn't that
In
what isn't that what
Yeah, go
the
ahead.
entail part of gametic entail refers to? It refers
No,
to the part that is organized
no,
around the gametes.
no.
Okay.
No, that's actually not
All right.
mentioned in any of the definitions that for the
Just I
Gametic entailed.
I just know
In in it's not. It's
I
just
thought
it's
that's
made.
what
It's
I'm
no. It's just made up. By
trying to understand.
yeah, sure, sure. So I have seen sources, um, biologies, and I've searched quite some time for the Gametic entail definition. You should know that even the Gametic entail definition isn't mostly used. But of those who do use the Gametic entail definition in biology, in peer-reviewed publications or books that have been published by biologists, not one of them, um, not one in terms of the peer-reviewed literature, nor in terms of published books by biologists, mention the organization around a production of one or another. It's just a proprietary definition, and it's clear. It seems to be clear what the purpose of that proprietary definition is, but it's irrelevant because even if we use that proprietary definition, sex still wouldn't be binary. And the reason sex still wouldn't be binary is because there's no impossibility demonstrated about the organization around both.
Right. So your position, if I just want to clarify, is that because it's possible that there could be male and female, because no one has
hmm
demonstrated that's impossible,
hmm
and it can't be binary.
Yeah, that's what binary means. That's the by definition.
Right.
It can't be.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So that's your argument, is that because no one
It's
has
not. It's not an. I mean,
demonstrated that it's
It's not a.
impossible.
Well, just to be clear, it's like
I don't
it's not
understand.
even. Yeah, it's not even so much of an argument as it's a trivial entailment. It's like if you argue against that, it's like you're arguing against like an analytic
So
entailments of
so
like.
how
Yeah.
what would be a useful way to categorize sex? It's
Oh,
not
that's a different. That's an entirely different discussion. What's useful, whether the categorization of sex as binary or not is useful is completely tangential to the
yeah.
discussion of whether sex is binary. I don't even see what the relevance of that is.
Well, I mean,
Well, the
wh-
point here is
what
that
what words should we use when we're talking about sex?
yeah.
Like, if we're just going to say
Well,
that it's not binary,
what we should
yeah,
use is also completely irrelevant to the discussion. What we should
okay. I mean,
use, because the point,
perhaps.
I'm not arguing over what word or definition we should use. My argument is that to say that sex is binary, as sex is used in biology, and to say that as binary is used among statisticians or logicians or mathematicians,
And it's either or. It can't be both.
is incoherent. It is entails a logical contradiction and it is false unless you're a dialetheist. Whether
Could we say?
the
Could we say that
utility
it's right? Okay.
the
I'm listening.
utility is irrelevant to that, it's a different discussion. It's also a different discussion, uh, and completely irrelevant to whether it is or isn't. If we ought or ought not use it, it's just to say
Okay.
that it is false. It is false to say that sex is binary. Not yeah,
Yeah.
that sex is binary. Yeah, it's a false claim.
I mean, it could it could be false, but it seems like for all functional and like it's fundamentally, we could just say, as for lack of a better term, everyone is either male or female, even people with intersex conditions, right?
No,
We can't say that everyone's either male or female.
not on my view.
What would they
No,
be if they weren't?
I don't think that I mean on the
What
Gametic entailed I'm not on the Gametic entailed view.
would they be if they're not male or female?
Male and female.
Male and female.
Yeah.
So do we have any examples of
Yeah.
male and female, or is that just
Yeah,
irrelevant?
there's an I sent you one of them. There's an example where an individual produced sperm and eggs.
Okay, so let's look at the example.
hmm
The the karyotypically male XY 46 XY, right? Uh,
I don't see what genetics have anything to do with the
phenotypically male, but phenotypically male. Would anyone
phenotype also has not
have
anything to
said
do
this
with the
person
Gametic entail
wasn't a
definition.
male?
It's irrelevant to the definition of the
It's
Gametic entail definition. So let's try it again. So here's things you've mentioned that have nothing to do with the definition that so what I let's just try to track the conversation. So you asked me, you asked me if they would be male and female, and I said on the Gametic entail definition they would be. Then you mentioned two things that have nothing to do with the Gametic entail definition. You mentioned chromosomes, karyotype, which has absolutely nothing to do with the Gametic entail definition. You also
we're just
mentioned
trying to
phenotype.
we're trying to establish the example that you provided
I,
is an actual person.
on the I wait, is an actual person.
Like the
I look
example that you brought was a person. So we're looking at the example that you
was a
brought of the person
person
that
who
would
on
be
the Gametic entail definition, here's what I said. Just try to pay attention, right? Stop instead of just jumping ahead to like what you think you're gonna actually come to. Just try to understand what the position is.
totally trying to understand. The
All
only
right,
reason I'm
cool,
asking questions
cool.
is for
Yeah,
understanding.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So listen carefully. What I said is on the Gametic entailed definition, the individual in the case report that I showed you would be categorized as male and female.
Okay, that's
Do
fine.
you agree or disagree with that?
If that's the way that the person is being categorized, and that's the best way to get
Do you agree
statistics
or
about people.
disagree? Wait, do you agree or disagree that on the Gametic entail definition, this individual would be categorized as male and female?
Not necessarily, because it seems like I just want to say it seems like this example that you showed was that there was the presence of ovarian tissue, right?
And no, they're not just a variant tissue. There's the presence of an egg, of a developing ovum.
There's the presence of a gamete.
Yeah, a female, a large gamete and small gamete.
Okay,
Okay,
is the
so
gametic entail the gametic? Hold on,
mhm,
wait. Is the gametic entail definition? Is that to entail both, right?
the Gametic
So it
entail
only entailed the
definition.
male.
No,
It has the
excuse.
presence of
What are
a
you talking
gamete.
about? Listen.
See,
You're not. You're
am
either
I
not
okay?
following the case report or you're not following the definition. So let's be clear about the case. All right. The case was both gametes were being produced. Not that just there was ovarian tissue, that there was a gamete, a female gamete in there being developed. Do you agree or
Was it?
disagree with that?
I just want to clarify. Was it being developed or was it
It was at the
developed in
latest
utero?
stage. Yeah, it was at the latest stage of development that one could possibly develop a female gamete prior to fertilization.
Is there any
So
way for it to become fertile?
in other words, if you have a
Is it
female,
viable anyway?
the Gametic entail definition says nothing about viability. Let's try it again. So you're also now you're bringing in another thing that has nothing to do with the
Just
definition.
asking questions about it.
Yeah.
I want to
So
know
so
about
the
like how
answer,
we
so that I'll
categorize.
answer it. I'll answer it. I'll just point out to you that on the Gametic entail definition, it's irrelevant. So the answer is it has not been tested, and why would it be? No one tried to take that egg and fertilize it. No one has tried to do that, so we don't know.
So we
Now,
don't know.
so it is possible,
Don't
for all
know
we
if
know,
it's right.
it is possible. We don't know if it is the case or not. Um, so that not that that matters on the Gametic entail definition, because nothing about the Gametic entail definition says that they need to be viable. So,
Okay.
so just so we're clear about the case, this individual produced small gametes, the sperm, and also produced large gametes.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
And
On
it
the
was birth defect, right?
whether we
It's
call
a
it a
very
defect or
rare.
not, it was. I agree, it's a rare observation. Whether we call it a defect or not depends on how we define a defect, but I don't think it's relevant. So, because again, nothing in the Gametic entail definition says anything about it being a defect or the rarity. Now,
Right.
so again, do we
Yeah,
agree
we're not
that on the Gametic entail definition, do we agree that on the Gametic entail definition that this individual would be male and female?
is the Gametic. I might be confused about Gametic entail definition. The way
Mm-hmm.
I understand it is it's which phenotype the body is
No,
organized to support,
no,
and not the
that's not the
phenotype.
Gametic. No,
What is
that's not.
organized to support which
No,
gametes?
so you're already confused on the definition then. So the
Clarify.
you may have heard people define it that way, but if
Just
you look at the
just
literature,
want to
that's
be
not how
clear
it's
on
defined.
everything.
We can be clear. Yeah. So if
I'm
you
not even
look
trying to
in,
be controversial. I'm just
so
asking,
the definite,
gain
no, it's fine, it's fine. So anisogamy, a condition in which gametes are distinguished based on size. In organisms with two
two
sexes,
different
male,
sizes.
yes, anisogamy is a condition in which gametes are distinguished based on size. In organisms with two sexes, male and female, these different sized gametes define the sex. Males have small, often flagellated sperm. Females have large eggs. On the
Correct.
gametic entail definition, if you have sperm, if you're producing sperm,
Okay.
that is sufficient to be a male. If you have eggs, if you're producing eggs, that is sufficient to be a female. It doesn't say anything about the organization of the phenotype. It doesn't say anything about the viability of the gametes. It doesn't
Okay.
say anything about the
Okay.
rarity. That is in the literature that has been found on that gametic entail definition. which
Okay.
is rare, by the way. A lot of people don't use that, but of where it has been found in published sources, that's what it says. In no, I challenge anyone who thinks they can find a published source. Just talk for a second. I had a beep from my audio. Hello? Oh, okay, it's working. Okay. So in no published source have I seen anything qualified beyond that with respect to the organization of the phenotype or with respect to the rarity. So that is
Yeah.
what it is. Now, do we agree that on the gametic entail definition, this individual would be male and female?
Is the person capable? Like, I guess if we're going by this one definition,
Mm-hmm.
and a person might be male or female,
The person
according
is
to
male
all
and
sorts of different
female.
ways. Maybe.
On this
This
definition, well, it's
seems
an
like
it's
they're
an
leaning
it's an
on
analytic
the
entailment that they're
organism.
male and female.
We'll
Look,
have to go by the whole organism, though, right? We're still
no,
looking at the whole. We're
we're
not
not looking
looking at
at
the
the
whole.
whole. Nope, that's not the gametic entail definition. Nope. Let's try it
Organism.
again. So
We are talking about sex. When we're talking
we're
about the
talk
sex of a person, we're talking about
we're
with the
talking
organism.
about the sex of the person, but yes, we're
Okay.
talking about the organism, but we're not talking about the phenotype of the organism. We're talking about whether the organism, unless you, or we're talking about specifically though. I mean, yes, technically phenotype, but only not this organization of the phenotype. We're just talking about if the phenotype is producing eggs, if the phenotype is producing sperm.
Okay.
So, is it the case that the phenotype is producing sperm? Yes or no in this case?
Um, you said it was, yeah.
Cool. Is it
Example,
entailed
yeah.
that they are male? Is it entailed that they are male on the gametic entailed definition?
Yes.
Okay. Is this organism producing eggs in this case?
As far as what I know about eggs, is that they're produced in utero, in
Utero?
utero, right?
No.
Yeah.
They're produced in an
Eggs.
ovary. Their eggs are developed in an
I
ovary.
mean, right during while an infant is in the mother's womb, they produce all
We're
their
not
eggs.
so we're not talking about yes, okay, that's fine, but they're developed in an ovary.
At some point in the developmental
Hmm.
process of the fetus, and there were eggs that were developed inside the fetus, and then for the rest of its development, it produced
Hmm.
male. For example,
Is
there is a
it the
presence
case?
of
I
eggs
don't see how this
inside.
answers the question.
Well, I'm just saying, like, it seems like it's relevant to determining whether or not the organism is male or female based on the viability of its reproductive capacity.
Okay, we're not. You're using words that have nothing to do with the gametic entail definition. We can talk about other definitions that have to do with the reproductive capacity. So you're going off on an irrelevancy again. Going to bring you back
I'm
to stop saying irrelevant things. So let's try again.
trying to just
Is
understand,
no,
okay.
I understand what you're trying to do. You're failing. You're being irrelevant right now. So let's try to one step at a time. Okay, so we have a definition. It says nothing about reproductive capacity. On this definition, so we already clarified that this individual produced sperm. Now, did this individual produce eggs? Yes or no?
Apparently, they may
Hello?
they might have. If they did, hello, am I there?
Yes. Yeah. So do you see the evidence for the production of the egg? Like the literal production of an egg, the development of an egg. Do you see like the cross section where the egg is there?
Sure. I mean, if it's there, it's there,
Hmm.
right? So
Yes,
I
it
look
is there. Do
for
you want to see this the cross section? Do you want to see the histology?
not really sure like how that's
Hello?
relevant.
Well, if it's you don't see how it's relevant of whether the individual produced an egg or not, if it's
I
there
mean,
in its
like,
ovarian tissue.
as far as determining if the person.
Look, one step at a time, dude. Listen,
Okay, let's
one
listen.
step at a time. Don't jump. Did the individual produce eggs? Yes or no?
Yeah, eggs were produced inside the individual at one point.
Yes. Okay,
Yes.
so this individual produced eggs. Is that correct? Yes or no? Hello?
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
Can you hear me?
great. Great. Yes. Now, on the gametic entail definition, is this individual female?
No,
That's false.
because
That's
because you're saying that they're male and female, right?
okay. I'll repeat the question. On the gametic
Okay.
entailed, I didn't ask you if they were female only. I just asked you if they
Oh,
were female.
okay.
On the gametic entailed
I wouldn't
definition,
say
is this individual female?
they would have a component to their
On the
organism that
gametic
could be
entailed, nope.
characterized as
On gametic entailed definition, nope. You can be male and female. Is this individual female? Yes or no? Remember, the
categorize them as
gametes
female.
define the sex of the organism. They don't define this on the gametic entailed definition.
You
It
have
doesn't say that the
you
gametes define
have to
the
ignore the
component of the
male.
sex of. I'm not ignoring the male. The fact that I said the
Okay,
individual is
so
female doesn't say that the individual is female only. You're just adding something not entailed in my question. I'll repeat the question again.
wait a minute,
Is
wait a minute, wait a
the
minute.
ind-
Because you're
Mhm.
asking me if they're female, and I can't say that they're because they're not female.
I'm asking you if they're female on the
I'm
gametic entailed
genuinely
definition.
saying
I'm asking you if they're female on the gametic entailed definition. Yes or no?
the gametes are female. Yeah.
Nope. The gametic entailed definition doesn't define the gametes. It defines the organism based on the gametes. So let's try again. Ooh,
Okay.
this is a brutal failure here. Okay, let's try again.
I'm totally
So
trying to understand this, but
now
you're
you're.
trying.
I
It's like you're
understand you're
trying to
trying.
get me
You're
to say
but
that the
you're but you're but
person
you're no, I understand you're trying. But okay, try. So let's
trying to
so
tell me
the
that the
pivots the
person's
pivots are
trying to get
just
me to say the
sophistry
person's
here. So again, so do you understand? Okay, so look, you understand that the gametic entailed definition does not categorize the sex of a gamete. That's the gamete definition, not the gametic entailed definition. So I'll repeat the question.
you're saying. I just want to
hmm
understand correctly. You're saying that the presence of female gamete inside of the male body makes that person a female, and I should agree with that.
On the gametic entailed definition,
And
if it
if
was
you're saying that
produced
that's
in
what
the
it is, then that's what it is.
yeah, okay. So
Okay, so
on the gametic entailed definition, is this individual both male and female?
sure.
Okay. On the gametic
If
entailed
this is the
definition,
definition that you set up to make it that way, then that's how it's going
well,
to be. And that's
that's
fine.
not what I've set up. That's what's published in biological literature.
So how are they
That's
categorized?
not a definition I made up. That's just what has been published.
Okay, I'm just here to learn. So how are they
Okay, no,
categorized?
yeah,
How are
so
they
I
categorized?
can yeah, I can tell you. So if it's very simple. If an individual is producing only male gametes, so only sperm,
Okay,
they are a male only.
our male
If an
only. Okay,
individual, yeah, if an
we
individual is
we
only
can set that
producing,
in stone. Thank you.
if an individual is only producing eggs, the larger gamete, they are female only. Okay.
Correct. Yes,
If the
100%.
individual is producing both male and female gametes, that is, they are producing both large and small gametes, they're producing both
Okay,
sperm and eggs, they are both male and female.
that is what the scientists will say. This is a male and female.
Yes. Yes, it's called true simultaneous anisogamous hermaphroditism, and there are multiple peer-reviewed publications, published sources describing them as both male and female.
And okay, and that's totally fine. There are such
Okay.
people that are both male and female, and that's the way that we're categorizing them in science. Then I have no problem with that. And like that's great. If we have more words to categorize more different types of people, then that's great. As long as we're being accurate with our words.
I don't see any inaccuracy. Now, if that is the
Okay.
case,
Okay.
how many sex categories do we have? How many types of different sexes can each individual take on?
Each individual
Yeah, what
come
is
up
the
with the
sex
other.
category? Well,
Unless
look,
unless they're one of these very rare people that you're saying has a female has a gamete, has a female gamete, or a ability to produce
look,
sperm,
we don't need to do
right?
this. Look, really, really
Hold on,
quick.
no, no. I
Let's
just
say we have
totally
three
trying to understand.
individuals. Let's say we have three individuals. Yeah, I'll help you understand it. Say we have three individuals. One individual can produce female gametes only. Okay.
Okay, and we're gonna call a person a female.
So that's individual number one. Okay. Individual number two can produce male gametes only. Okay.
Okay.
Individual number 3 can produce male and female gametes. Okay.
Okay.
What is the
Cool.
sex category of individual number 1?
Female, right? The second one was male, and now you're saying that the third one is saying male and female.
So, yeah, so you
I'm just
have a
wondering.
male, you have a female, and then you have, okay, so the sex category of, let's just say individual 1, produced, what did I say? Male gametes only? Or female? I forgot if I said male gametes only. Let's just say I said individual 1 produced male gametes only, let's just say. What is their sex category?
Male
Male only, correct?
only, yes.
Okay.
That's
Individual
50% of the
2,
population.
cool. Individual 2 produces female gametes
Male
only.
only, yeah, large
So
gametes.
are they female? Are they female only?
Yes.
Okay, that's their sex category, female only. Good. Individual number 3 produces male gametes and female gametes. What is their sex category?
It's going to depend, right? We have to see, is this person male having with a female gamete, or are they female with a male gamete? Like, which
I
one is
don't.
the
That
more
doesn't.
dominant one?
It doesn't. The prominent one isn't has nothing to do with the Gametic entail
Like,
definition.
in these situations,
Has
yes.
nothing to do with the
What my
Gametic
question
entail
is,
definition. So I don't
what my
see how that's
question is,
relevant.
have
Excuse
this.
me. Excuse me.
Okay,
So
okay, okay.
so listen. Try to listen. So the Gametic entail definition just says that the organisms that produce
Mhm.
male and female gametes, okay, are both male and female. It doesn't
What I want
say
to know.
anything, excuse me, doesn't say anything about what they're more likely to produce. Doesn't say anything about what their phenotype is more organized around producing. Doesn't say any of that stuff. So, if you have an individual that produces male and female gametes, are they male and female on the gametic entail definition?
Okay, I have one question, and I really
Go
want
ahead.
you to like just hear me
Mm-hmm.
out here.
Go ahead.
And there's an individual, like they got a baby come out, it's got ambiguous genitalia, they're not sure, like, let's say the situation. What do the scientists do? How do they make a determination?
So, on the gametic entail definition,
No,
you
just
would have.
tell me what does the current way that scientists
I
create
don't see
like
how
a
that's
determination?
relevant to the gametic. It's just irrelevant to the gametic
They
entail
just want
definition.
it because we're talking about the functionality of
No,
like
no, we're
reality.
talking. Nope, we're talking
You
about
made the
the. We're
claim, you
nope,
made the claim
nope,
that all of the scientists
nope, nope,
are doing this certain thing,
nope,
and they say it's
nope.
male female. So
Nope.
I'm
I'm
saying,
saying that
what
there's
do
an
they do?
excuse
I
me.
don't know about
What they do is I don't see the relevance. What they do is irrelevant to whether it's entailed that their sex is non-binary or binary. So I don't see the relevance to the question. If you can formally syllogize the relevance and just show me how it is that the entailments are relevant, that's fine. You can't
I
because it
just
actually what they do
want
isn't
to
relevant. So
know.
now that you haven't answered my question, I'll repeat
Okay,
the question.
no, no, wait, because this is really important because you're saying
It's not important.
you're asking me what we call a third person, the third
No,
person. What do we call them? And I'm asking you
excuse
what
me,
we call them. How do we
excuse me.
do it?
Okay. Oh, I can tell you I can tell you what they would be called on the gametic
That's
entailed
my
definition.
question. Oh no,
So yeah, they
wait.
would be
Don't
called
use
male. They're called yeah
no,
on the gametic entailed male definition.
use the
On the
definition that
gametic
scientists
entailed
use.
on the gametic
Whatever
entailed.
definition, because you
Don't
already
make
said
me
the
don't
definition
make me
doesn't.
mute you.
Come on.
Don't make. I'm gonna have to server mute you if you keep doing this. So on the gametic entailed definition, the individual is both male and female.
You
The reason the
already
individual is both
said
male and
that you
female,
don't go by the comedic entail definition.
oh,
You
okay.
already
So what definition? Okay, cool. Do you have another definition? Okay, that's fine. If you want to propose
what?
another definition that scientists use, that's
What
totally
do they
fine.
use?
That also won't. That also
What
won't.
do they use?
You're the one claiming that. Well, wait a minute. Hold on.
What do they use?
Yeah,
That's
we
my
can
question.
go. Yeah, we can go through the
Saying they
various.
don't use this and they don't use this, but you haven't said what
Excuse me.
they use.
I can use any of them. So we can go by the chromosomal definition. We can go by the gametic definition. We can go by secondary sex characteristics as a broad, vague way of classifying individuals. If you think sex is binary, what you need to do is you need to show how that is impossible. That there's a contradiction entailed by being both male and female.
Repeat that question. Sorry.
If you think sex is binary, what it means is that it is impossible. If you think sex with respect to an organism is binary, it means that you think it is impossible for there to be an organism that is both male and female.
Well, yeah. I mean, it depends on
Okay.
how we define male and female, and I'm actually
So
not going
just
to
to
take
be clear, you think
I'm not
you
going to
think
take
it's
this position that it's impossible. I don't think
okay.
it's
Then
impossible.
then then
It's
then
possible.
it's not. Wait, but then on your well, no, there are some things that are impossible. That's not true. Um, but so for example, a square circle would be an impossibility. Um, 1 + 1 = 3 it would be an impossibility. It's just they're analytic impossibility. They're contradictions, unless you're a dialethist.
Yeah.
So
Sure, I
binary code not being binary code would be an
sure.
impossibility. Yeah. So there are
To me, it
impossibilities.
seems like just take a step back and realize that it is kind of trivial to be arguing about whether or not it's binary when we don't have another way. If we don't have a way of replacing and saying it's non-binary doesn't give us any definite. It's not describing anything. It's saying
That's
it's not that.
tangential. Well, no, saying it's not. Well, even if that's the case, that's tangential to the
So,
conversation. It wouldn't
so
follow.
the
It wouldn't
conversation.
follow. Excuse me. Don't. You have a bad habit. It wouldn't follow of. It wouldn't follow that sex would somehow be binary, even if any of these arguments about utility were the case. Do you have an argument for sex being binary? Yes or no?
I actually am here to like learn what your position on the whole thing was. It seems like it does seem like a trivial thing to argue about whether or not sex is binary.
Yeah,
In the wider
It's pretty trivial that
in the
it's not
wider
binary.
context of the discussion is happening actually under gender ideology.
I don't care.
And
That's not a con. I don't
but
care. I don't
but I
care.
think
Like
but here's
no,
the thing. When you
I really don't. Like my position isn't
I have to
motivated by
ask you,
any ideology.
I
Like I
have to
don't.
ask
Listen,
you
if you
because
have an
you were
argument,
your other wait a minute. Can I say something? In your discussion with Riley, you were
hmm
saying all sorts of disparaging stuff about so-called turfs, right? So you do have a position
yeah,
about
no,
gender
no,
ideology. And
yeah,
so
the
just
position. Well, no, that doesn't follow.
like
No,
flesh that out. Is the
excuse me.
whole
I'm gonna.
discussion of
All right, so you're gonna be.
sex?
All right, so I have to server mute you because you're not letting me clarify. You make an accusation of me. All right, I'll unserver mute you if you decide to behave. Here we go. You're unserver muted. Now, listen. The disparaging thing for TERFs is that they are not willing to understand that they are affirming a contradiction. That's the issue I take with them. There may be other
Um,
issues, but then what I'm referring to is that
the turf.
they're to one TERF after another that I've discussed this with refuses to engage, refuses to have a debate. They affirm sex as binary and don't understand what it means. It's not my issues with the TERFs that I was describing weren't even related to we're just related to that. Now there may be other issues, but that's what I was talking about. Now again, I don't this conversation. I asked you if you'd be willing to have a debate on whether sex is binary or a discussion whether sex is binary. You said
I'm
yes.
just trying to understand it. I'm just trying to understand like we've kind of come to this place where it seems kind of trivial whether or not it's where like
You would hope,
but
but you would hope it is, but apparently it isn't. I'm glad
the
you
only
think
reason
it
why
is.
the only reason why people talk about it being binary or not is in the context of trying to relate intersex conditions with trans ideology.
Oh, I don't.
You know what I mean? That's
Wait,
the
wait.
only
If
reason
the
why
only
people are talking about
this
intersex
would be a
binary.
counter. Well, this would be a
That's
counter.
the only
Well,
reason why
wait.
terms are a
Do you
thing.
have a do you have data to wait? If do you have data to support that claim? If you're saying the only reason people meant discuss if sex is binary or not is if they have some gender ideology.
The context of the debate, right? What
Okay,
like
I'm not
online
appreciating an answer. Don't let just answer the question. Don't go on a ramble. I asked you a circumspect question. I expect you to answer it. Are you claiming that the only context where people talk about sex being binary or not binary is in the context of of anything that has any relevance to sorry, in the context where someone is trying to say something about gender?
I can't say it's the only. I can't really
Okay.
think of another. I can't think of another context though.
Okay, so I've discussed that in context where did not care less about discussing gender. I've heard there are people who have discussed this when they don't have a view on gender. Okay, it's not the case that's the only time context, and it's you can discuss this without having a view on gender.
Right? Well, the reason that people wanted me to come on to this channel and
Hmm.
debate you in the first place is because of gender ideology. It
Okay,
wasn't
so
because of sex.
I'm okay. So the topic I debate is if sex is binary. That's a view I have a very strong view on. I don't have fully thought out views. I have some thought out views, but I don't have fully thought out views that I go around debating
And
in
there's
terms of
there's no
gender. Excuse me. I have a very strong view that sex is not binary. That should be trivially
okay.
true. And
The
despite
way you're
this,
defining it, that's totally fine.
no,
Yeah.
no, 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 no. On any, not just the way I'm defining it. You can take any definition in that how it's defined in science, how sex is defined in science. Take any definition from that, and it won't be binary.
Okay. Why? Like
The
why
reason why,
why
yeah,
is
yeah,
this
yeah.
your
I
debate?
can tell you, yeah. The reason why any definition of the peer-reviewed literature defining sex won't be binary is because none of them entail a logical impossibility or a physical impossibility for that matter of being both male and female.
Okay, yes. Because biology is full of all these possible things. I mean,
I don't see how that's relevant.
I
But
mean,
no, even
it
like
seems like I don't
you can
understand why you're
define,
arguing.
excuse me, you can have a definition in biology that does do that. It's just not a definition scientists use. The fact that it's biology doesn't preclude you from having a definition that actually is binary about sex. You can have
Okay,
that. For example, I can just say I can have say this is a category and there's a category called sex, and within that category there's male only and then there's female only. And those are the only two things in that category. That's a binary category. It's a sex category that I've defined, I've made up, and it's binary.
totally. And so for some people, the way you just said it seems like some people could say the sex is binary if they use that.
No, it would be binary if they use that. The problem, the issue is that that's not how it's used in the field. Like you can make up. No one's denying that you can make up your own definition and have a binary definition. That's fine. You can do that. It's just I don't. It's just that's not how that definition is used. Like I could have a definition of a cat and say it's a dog. Like I could do that. There's
Sure,
nothing
sure,
wrong
yeah, yeah.
about it. Yeah.
Well, there
Uh,
might be.
well,
As
no,
far as
there's
like trying to
not.
communicate, as far as trying to communicate
That's
ideas
fine.
clearly.
That's just utility. There's no logical problem with me doing that.
I mean,
Yeah, there's
trying to
no
be
logical
clear,
problem with me taking a cat and defining
different
it as a
word and
dog.
making new word.
But
Sure, sure.
what I'm saying is that
You just
based on all of the definitions that are used in biology to define in the peer-reviewed literature to define male and female, none of them are binary.
okay.
Okay, cool.
I mean,
Then we agree.
to me
Sex is not
that seems like why would they say that it's binary?
Yeah,
Would they
so
need to say it's binary?
you can say, well, well, no, I'm not interested in even if they would say that it's binary. I'm interested in if their definition actually is binary or not. So, for example, like I don't care if I'm looking at binary code, I don't care if people say it's binary or not. If you have an
Why?
analytically defined, yeah, the reason is because if you have an analytically defined system in which there's only one of only two possible instantiable outcomes, then guess what? That's entailed that it's a binary system. Doesn't matter if you say it's binary or not, it just follows that it is.
Maybe I should ask. I'm totally not trying to be controversial at all in this conversation. I'm really just trying to learn. But maybe what I should ask is like, why do you think curves, so curves, are are trying to say that it is binary? Like, what do you think their stake is? Like, what do you think they're trying to debate this for? What's the reason?
I don't know
Is they
exactly.
just
I can speculate. So one of the things I can speculate is that they disagree that their disagreement with individuals that are transgender is so strong, and they may have things that they disagree with them on. And when they hear individuals who are transgender say that sex is non-binary, it usually is followed with something that they strongly disagree with. And because they make that association, they dig their heels into the sand that sex is actually not binary when in fact sex is binary when in fact it actually isn't, and it blinds them from actually seeing that they're affirming a contradiction. That's one possibility that can explain a certain amount of the turfs. Another possibility that can explain a certain amount of the turfs is that they're just irrational. Another possibility, I mean, I don't know. I'm sure different explanations come from different people, but regardless of their explanation, I mean, either way, sex is not binary.
The reason why is because people are trying to say that they are non-binary, like that no, everyone is non-binary. The people are saying they're taking on non-binary as a personal identity.
It wouldn't
Where that?
matter. It wouldn't matter. Its sex
Okay,
would still
so
not be binary. Right. So even if
right,
that's
but
true, let's just grant that. I mean,
I'm saying that
even if it's just let's just grant that. Even if we were
okay,
to grant that, it still wouldn't follow that sex is binary. And it
well
wouldn't
let's
be, and they would still be blinded. Even if they were, what they would essentially be doing there is saying,
let's
"Oh,
move
you've
away
made
from
a
that.
claim. Excuse me.
Okay,
You have
sorry.
listen. If you not like listen like I'm gonna interrupt you if you start going off on a tangent and something irrelevant. So I'm trying to redirect you. So even if it's the case that let's just like grant that I don't know if that's the case. We can go into and there may be arguments for why that may not be the case, but who cares? If that even if that is the case, what TERFs would essentially be doing then is taking individuals who are making a false claim and concluding another false claim as as a retort to that. It's just hilarious.
I don't think.
Yes,
Oh, hold on.
self-contradictory claims are false claims. If you're unless you're dialetheist,
I'm not hearing many turfs like insisting that sex is
is
binary.
binary? Oh,
No,
absolutely.
I don't.
Not just
They might be
binary,
as
and it's
high,
in their Twitter handles, in their Twitter profiles. What are you talking about? Sex
or
is
maybe.
binary and immutable. Absolutely. That is not true at all.
Well, because it seems kind of trivial whether or not, especially if we define binary as something that can't possibly be.
That's not if we define
Uh,
binary, that's how it's defined. That you
okay,
can look up any
okay, that's fine.
definition of
That's fine.
binary, that's absolutely how it's defined.
I feel like the wider context of the turf argument that they're trying to say woman is an adult human female, right? And I realize, oh, we can't define what any words are because words have no truth claim to them, right? We need to have a concept.
They have no truth value.
An adult, okay, right? And an adult human female is a concept. And it's we need to have
Okay,
words for
can you be an adult
concepts.
human? Can you be is it possible to be an adult human human female and male?
Hmm, male, no. Unless you have
So
one
it
of these
is
intersex
just to be
conditions, I
clear.
guess, right?
Wait,
Unless
just
you
to
have
be
one of these
clear,
intersex conditions that you're
just to
claiming.
be clear, I don't want you to listen. When I ask you a question, I don't want you to ramble. I want you to answer the question clearly and succinctly and then go into like any elaboration that you want. I don't want you to start with the elaboration. So, is it possible for an adult individual to be both male and female?
Sure, lots of things are
Okay.
possible.
Okay,
Biology is
cool. Is it then guess what? Guess what?
need words for that.
Guess what? Excuse me. Guess what? It's not binary.
Fine, it's fine. I don't have
Okay.
an argument with that.
Cool. Then you
Agree.
agree. So just so we're clear, you agree that sex is not binary, correct?
I would say that binary is not the most useful term for it.
Excuse me, I didn't ask you if it was a useful term. No. Didn't
That's
ask
what
you if
I'm
it
saying.
was a useful term. Okay, I didn't ask you that. I don't need you to say that. Don't dodge. Let's try it
Isn't that
again.
your argument?
Let's nope. An argument had nothing to do with utility. Let's try it again. You agree with me that biological sex is not binary. Yes
Doesn't
or
meet
no?
yes. Yes, it does not
Okay,
meet
cool.
the definition of binary
Wait,
as you stated.
cool.
Yes.
It is not meet definition, and also it meets the definition of non-binary.
Well, what is not non-binary is anything that's
Non-binary,
not binary.
yeah, yeah.
So that
It's
doesn't mean
anything that's
anything.
not binary. Correct. So we agree that
That doesn't
biological
mean
sex. we agree. So then we agree that biological sex is non-binary, correct?
We have to revert back to the concept of what sex is.
No, oh,
You
we
know what I
already
mean?
did, no, we already covered that. So
Talking about
you agreed.
organisms.
No, you agreed. So
I
excuse
have to
me.
talk about like,
Excuse me. You agreed that you agreed that sex doesn't fit the definition of binary. So now I'm asking you if sex is non-binary.
no. It's
Sex
not
is
that.
not non-binary.
That's even less useful to say
Excuse me.
than
Excuse me. I didn't ask about the utility. Are you saying that sex is not non-binary, or that sex is non-binary?
might as well say it's not non. I mean,
It's
like that's
not
as useful
non-binary.
as it is to say that it's
So then it's wait, I didn't say, I didn't talk about anything of utility. Okay, so you're saying that there's, so it follows from that that there's a contradiction in being male and female then. Okay. So what's the proposition and negation for being male and female?
restate the question. What's the
Well,
proposition?
you said that biological sex is not non-binary. It follows from that that biological sex is non-binary. That's just a
Yeah,
double negation. Okay?
it
If you, do you
it's
understand
as
double negation?
useful. It's as useful to say
I didn't ask. That's just a dodge again. Okay.
non-binary. It is
It's just a.
non-binary.
Excuse me.
Totally just
That's utility. Excuse me. We're not talking. I don't care about the utility for in this context of this conversation. It's just another dodge. Okay. So I'm gonna repeat the question. Okay. And just so you understand, if you say anything about usefulness, I'm just gonna repeat the question again because you're not answering it. Okay. So let's try it again. You said that biological sex is not non-binary. You understand that that means that biological sex is binary. Do you understand that that is the entailment of that statement? Yes or no?
yes.
Okay, cool. Now, um,
I was saying kind of
so so
facetiously
so
to
okay,
bring it
cool.
to
So
utility of language,
okay,
but
so do you actually believe that biological sex?
the concept of biological sex. This is the way I understand it. Is that
I didn't ask the
and
way you understand. Look. Unless you're gonna say if it's binary or not binary, I don't care about how any other way you understand it. I'm only interested in your understanding with respect to if it's binary or not binary. If you go into any monologue or if you go into any like tangent whatsoever, I'm just gonna cut you off.
okay, it seems like we've already established that it's totally trivial to establish whether or
I didn't
not
ask if
it's
it was
binary.
trivial. Excuse me. I didn't ask if it was trivial
And
or not. Didn't ask if it was trivial or not. Didn't it? If
I've
again, so just again,
established that it's
if you
trivial,
say,
and then I'm going to say, sure, it's non-binary.
excuse me.
You have to say
I
what
didn't
it
ask,
is.
excuse me, just to be clear, I did not ask you if it was trivial, if it was one way or another. I'm just interested if we agree that biological sex is not binary. Yes or no? Do you
We're
agree
using
with me?
language.
Do you, dude, do you agree with me? Hello? Do you
Yes, I'm
agree
listening.
with me that biological sex is non-binary?
Sure. The answer will be sure.
Great, great. That's it.
But then I also have
Acco-
to just say how ridiculous it is for us to even like have this trivial conversation.
Oh,
It's a
yeah,
yes
the
or
reason is,
no.
yeah, the
I
reason
don't like to
we
have
were
this
having,
conversation.
the reason, oh, I can tell you that. The reason we were having this conversation is because there's individual after individual that does mental gymnastics, similar to how you have done at the start of this conversation, but they just continue it instead of conceding.
That was me just
That
asking
that
questions.
that that the reason, yeah, the reason is because individual and after individual has come here arguing and going in all sorts of mental gymnastics for to try to say that biological sex is binary when in fact it isn't. That's all. So is there anything else, or do we agree,
I
we've come
just
to
want
the
to know
conclusion
the
that
reason.
biological sex is binary, is not binary?
I want to just help you understand though, the reason why people are having this conversation in the wider world isn't to establish whether or not sex this definition of binary or not. That's like totally irrelevant. It is
I
trivial
don't
to the
why would I
wider context.
why do I don't, yeah,
Wider
but I don't,
context
yeah,
of this
but I don't
debate,
care. Listen.
whether or not individuals can claim to be non-binary
That's
or
a
the
different,
opposite sex.
excuse me, that's just a different discussion. Like again, the
That's different.
individual, you can have a view, excuse me,
Calling
you
people
can
Turks
have a
online.
view, Yeah, I'm calling people. Well, listen, I called people.
You're
I called
you're
people
stepping
that
into this debate whether or not
no,
you want to or not.
that's actually not entailed. If you
You
think
call
that's entailed,
people
I'd love you
turds.
to show. I'd love you to show me. Excuse
When
me.
you
No,
call
no, no, no,
okay,
no, 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 no. That doesn't follow at all. If I call individual, excuse me, it doesn't follow at all. I can call an individual a turf, and it doesn't follow from that that I am stepping into any specific context of a debate. Right? There are turfs that most people may not, but there are turfs that actually say, you know what? Yeah, I'm a turf. I'm just calling them. I can actually call them by what they consider themselves. There are many different reasons I can call an individual a turf. It doesn't
why
follow that
would
I'm disagreeing on any individual point there. The point I
turf
disagree, the point I disagree with
says a
the
woman is supposed
turfs,
to be female?
the
All of
point I disagree, the point, excuse me, don't make me mute you again. The point I disagree with the turfs on, most strongly here, is that they affirm that sex is binary. That sex, as we understand it in biology, is binary, and they're wrong.
maybe I'm not in a position of authority to like say whether or not it's binary or not. The person that you really want to debate on this or have on your channel to have a really good debate would be Zach Elliott. Are you aware of him?
Is he one of the individuals that have refused to debate me and ran away?
I don't think so. I don't know if you've reached out to him, but his name's Zach Elliott. He's on he's
Does he have a
on
Twitter
Twitter.
handle? What's his Twitter
Twitter
handle?
handle is uh, ZAE Lefty. He produces videos on the sex
Oh
binary
yes,
and all
he's
that
the
stuff.
guy.
But
Yes, yes, he's the guy who he's the guy with that really hilariously stupid video. Yeah, 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 I'm aware of him. Yeah, he's the guy with well, really
should
cringe.
have him on. But you know, if he wants
Yeah,
to be on,
I'll reach out to. Yeah, he actually is he cites the person he cites is an individual who has not been able to step up to the plate to debate me. That's where one of the guys said actually two people, Emma Hilton and Colin Wright are the individuals who he bases his arguments off of. Neither of which had the courage to step up and debate me uh, when offered, and I've reached out to them both multiple times. So
okay.
they both have refused to engage with me. But yeah, I will reach out to him, and I'd be happy to give him. I'll message him right now.
So
Um,
can you let me maybe you have the courage then to say whether or not you believe trans women are women, just in that argument, because the turfs are really just trying to say
Depends what
that a
you
woman
mean.
is
It
adulterated.
depends. That depends. It depends what you mean by woman now. See, now you're stepping out of
Yeah,
the context of what you're talking about um, when you say a sex binary, because so that now it depends. Now we have to have a conversation of what you mean by woman.
exactly right. So what do we mean by woman? Could we mean anything other than adult?
That's a different discussion.
What do you think? What do you
The
say?
reason, well, I'm happy to have that discussion with you at a later time. But
Okay,
for the
are you
purposes
though?
of this discussion, yeah, sure. But the
We have
purposes, but
that
I
discussion.
didn't come here. But I didn't listen. I didn't. I scheduled a discussion about biological sex with you, and
Good,
that's
good,
what we
good.
were here to discuss. And I'm not here to let the discussion go off the
Yeah.
rails on a different topic.
Yeah,
No,
So
it's very, very cringe to get
what
like
discussion?
absolutely annihilated on the topic of biological sex and then like fiendishly try to change it to somewhere you can try to score
we're,
points. Just take the
yeah,
L, just say, okay, yeah, you're right,
Hold on.
I'm wrong, call it a day.
The entire context of this debate is around gender ideology, though.
Wow,
You're
you're
trying to make
still
that seem
doing
like
it. Look, did you concede the
it is.
point to him or not?
It is, though, right? Can we all understand that
Can
the
you?
debate,
He's
whether or not
really dodgy. He's been doing this to you for so long. This is
you
brutal.
guys, you
oh
guys just
man.
listen. Can we
How about
acknowledge
just clear answer? Do you
how
concede the point to Avi?
can we acknowledge that the wider context of this
He's just going
debate?
to keep dodging like this? This is crazy. Look, are you going
Let's
to
count. Can
did
we
you
count how
You're,
many times he
because
dodges?
the
Can we
thing
have a
is
counter?
he'll say he concedes it, but he'll say it sarcastically and then he'll tell you you've got to debate this. It's like let's just hear just loud and clear. You were right, I was wrong. Can we get you to say that?
I could have said it in the very first sentence when I
How
first
about not dodging? Just clearly answer. Can we get you to say that?
when I paid the stream. I
How
said,
about
hey,
not dodging? Can we just get
you're
a clear
defining
answer?
binary.
Can we get a clear
Yes.
answer?
Can you let me give you one?
No, not unless you're going to answer, right? Look, do you
I gave
acknowledge that?
I said the very
Look,
first thing. The
listen,
very first thing I
listen,
said,
listen. Shut up!
when
Fuck, Jesus
binary
Christ. Do
is
you acknowledge that Avi is correct here? Yes or no? Don't say any word other than yes or no. Okay? Yes or no?
the way Avi's defining his words, sure, of
No,
course.
no, no. See, did you love that greasy move? How he tries
What
to,
a
how he
I
tries he
love it.
tries
This
to
is great.
he tries to throw in that, oh, you're using special Avi language, right? He's just using standard
Hilarious.
terminology. Do you acknowledge that he's correct according to the standard terminology?
He hasn't given an example of someone
Do
who is
you concede that he is correct according to the standard terminology?
if you're going to use the definition the way he uses it, sure.
Do you
Yes, I've
concede
already
that he
said
is correct according to the standard terminology? Right? Because I asked you if you concede he's correct, and then in a very Weasley way, which you did to Avi earlier, and I'm amazed he didn't call you out on actually. Maybe he was just amazed to hear you say yes at all. Right? You tried to say, yeah, he's correct according to the way he's using what right, but the whole thing you're doing there is you're casting shade on the way he's using words, like he's using proprietary terminology, right? So I can just change the question and say,
wait a minute.
do you agree, shut up, that he's correct according to standard terminology? That's a yes or no. Don't ramble at me.
Yes. Can I
There
say
you
something?
go. Okay.
Can I say
No,
something?
no, just end the conversation. You
It's
concede.
amazing.
It's over. If you want another
I say
conversation,
one
buzz
little
in
thing
later. I'm just going to mute this
when
guy. What a
Yeah.
fucking idiot, man.
Yeah,
Why do
the
you even
guy's just a
talk to people like
hilarious.
this?
I don't know. Like he was like, yeah, I don't get it. Like, whew. It's just like the cringy dodging, and try to pivot to a completely different discussion that wasn't even set up is just hilarious.
and and he's foot soldiering too, which
Yeah.
is, well, there's many ways to foot soldier, and they're all cringy as fuck, but one of them is once you get creamed on the original topic, you fiendishly try to start a new conversation where you think you can make a bit more sense, and it's like, no, no, shut up, go away, you lose. If you want to talk again later, you can contact me and I'll set it up if I feel like it. Okay, you got wrecked today. You don't get to crawl out of the wreck hole by being like, oh, please engage me on this other talk. Go fuck yourself, right? You got fucking annihilated. Deal with it. Stop trying to cling to find something to talk about where you can make sense. It's just so cringe. Just admit a loss. It's not the fucking end of the world.
Yeah, I don't understand people like this. Yeah, they think that if you have this view that individuals who have this view, like it's entailed that they must have like these views about like what constitutes gender or what constitutes like if trans women are a woman and what a woman is. An individual can just have a view about sex, and even if they did have views, other views like that they would disagree with, like that's still not the topic of conversation.
Yeah,
It's
Jesus Christ. Did you record all that?
yeah, I did. It's all recorded. Yeah. I'm
Oh
gonna
God,
stop
okay.
recording. Yeah, we'll upload this this hilarious bit.
Yeah, and I hope that those sophists will eventually engage you. It's funny that he just cited some sophist who cites other sophists who you've tried to get to debate and who are running from you. I mean, I'm sure that you'd be happy to destroy this particular sophist he's citing and his sophist sources all at once in a fucking tag team debate against just you.
Yeah, just to be clear for and just to be clear for the recording, I'm more than happy to go up against Emma Hilton, Zach Elliott, and Colin Wright all at the same time. If they ever have the courage to have a verbal discussion with me, and I'll end it there.